Fear of dolls, or pediophobia, is considered an anxiety disorder known as specific phobia. Pediophobia is a type of automatonophobia, which is a fear of inanimate objects that appear human or a fear of anything that simulates a real human being. Pareidolia is a normal and common visual illusion of seeing faces in inanimate objects. Then there's the uncanny theory. The uncanny theory, in psychology, means something that is both familiar and not familiar at the same time. In simplest terms, the uncanny valley is when something seems almost human but not quite enough to convince your brain. Dolls didn't really begin to earn their reputation as bringers of nightmares until the 19th century, when manufacturing improved and materials like plastic became popular with toy makers. At that point, dolls gained the feature they needed to become terrifying: they started looking real. Dolls have been a part of human play for thousands of years, and by virtue of the fact that dolls are people in miniature, unanimated by their own emotions, it's easy for a society to project whatever it wanted onto them. Just as much as they could be made out of anything, they could be made into anything. Wooden paddle dolls have been found in Egyptian tombs dating to as early as the 21st century. The earliest dolls were made from available materials such as clay, stone, wood, bone, ivory, leather, or wax. Even before Chucky and Annabelle hit the big screen, many people professed a deep-seated mistrust of a very particular childhood staple: dolls. Beyond that, humans have managed to attach a myriad of cultural rituals and folklore to dolls. The doll of today's focus was reportedly purchased by Otto's grandfather while on a trip to Germany in 1904, and given to young Otto as a birthday gift for his 8th birthday. Some versions of the legend claim that a young girl of Bahamian descent gave Otto the doll as a gift or as retaliation for a wrongdoing, for the Otto's family's mistreatment of their servants. Ostensibly a tall doll, his careworn face is only vaguely human. His nub of a nose looks like a pair of pinholes. He is covered in brown nicks, like scars. His eyes are beady and black. He wears a malevolent smirk. The doll's sailor suit was likely an outfit that Otto wore as a child and put on the doll by Otto's mother in the beginning. The Steiff Company, which manufactured Robert, thinks he started life as part of a set of dolls fabricated for a window display of clowns or jesters. Robert Eugene named the doll after himself, then went by the name Eugene. Eugene took Robert the doll everywhere with him, and even though the doll was probably a little bit large at 3 feet tall, he was never seen without his beady-eyed companion in town. Eugene made sure his doll had everything it needed, including toys, furniture, and its own teddy bear. The two were inseparable. They were truly best friends. Anytime something odd happened at the Otto family home, Gene reportedly blamed it on Robert, but then the adults in Eugene's life and people from outside the home began to notice that something wasn't right with the doll. The story gets stranger and stranger as the years go on. Robert was said to have somewhat of a hold over Eugene, and loud, violent commotions could be heard coming from Eugene's bedroom on an almost nightly basis. Furniture could often be found overturned. Toys of Eugene's were often found ripped apart, and when the Otto family entered Eugene's room, he was found huddled on his bed, petrified. When asked what had happened, he only ever had one response: Robert did it. This continued on for years, and things got worse. Eventually, for Eugene's well-being, they banished Robert to the attic. Despite his banishment, the Otto family were said to hear Robert the doll moving frequently around the upstairs portion of the house, with his footsteps said to echo throughout areas of the property that were completely empty. He was even said to giggle in the middle of the night. Servants arrived and promptly quit their jobs in quick succession, and it's also claimed that the aunt that banished Robert to the attic died the same night that he was put there. The doll remained stored in the Otto family home at 534 Eaton Street in Key West while Otto studied art in New York and Paris. Otto married Annette Parker in Paris on May 3, 1930. Despite all of this, and despite his obvious fear of Robert as a child, Eugene kept Robert as he grew up and into an adult. He worked as an artist, and kept Eugene propped up in a window. Anne felt uneasy with Robert in the house, and although she couldn't put her finger on it, she wanted Eugene to lock the doll up in the attic where he could do no harm. Eugene conceded, and as one could imagine, Robert the doll was not happy. Soon, visitors to the home heard footsteps in the attic, the sounds of someone pacing back and forth and devilish giggling. Neighborhood children reported seeing Robert watching them from the window in the upstairs bedroom and told accounts of the doll actually mocking them as they walked to school. When Eugene heard this, he immediately went to investigate, knowing that he had locked Robert in the attic and there was no way he could be sitting by the window of the upstairs bedroom. But to his complete shock, when he opened the door to the bedroom, there was Robert, sitting in the rocking chair by the window. Eugene locked Robert back up in the attic several times, each time discovering him again sitting by the window in the same upstairs bedroom. Eugene spent all of his time in the turret room with Robert, painting and talking to his doll, until his death in June 24, 1974. The story of Robert Eugene Otto doesn't end with his death. The Robert the Doll story continues well past Eugene's death, and the legend continues even to this day. The woman who bought Eugene's house, Myrtle Reuter, was Robert's caretaker following the sale of the house. Reuter corroborated many of Eugene's stories and often found Robert in an entirely different place to where she had left him. Visitors to her new home didn't like Robert and found that he'd appear and disappear at will. She and her visitors also claimed that the already creepy expression on Robert's face appeared to change when anyone discussed Eugene in a negative way. In 1994, Myrtle donated Robert to the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida, where he still resides today. The home where Eugene lived, now called the Artist's House, is located at 534 Eaton Street and was built between 1890 and 1898. It is located in Key West, Florida, and is currently a hotel. Today, Robert is 119 years old, placed in a glass casket for visitors to see. Staff would say finding Robert in different positions. Some say hearing footsteps and others claiming change in facial expression. Today he is strapped to the chair so he can't move. Visitors to the museum are given advice on how to approach Robert, to speak to him in a polite way, to ask his permission to photograph him and to treat him with respect. The walls of Robert's display are littered with letters from visitors apologizing for their behavior when visiting the museum. They claim that they've encountered dreadful misfortune, gotten into accidents, had relationship breakdowns, or even experienced death or disease in the family after visiting Robert, and these letters seek to ask his forgiveness. Ozzy Osbourne had a string of bad luck after encountering Robert. Today, 119 years later, inspired movies. Whether you are a believer or not, the endless letters on Robert's wall asking for mercy from his wrath, or the endless comments and videos about Robert from people scared and asking permission to view Robert. There is no denying that there's something special about Robert. Some sort of phenomenon and energy that surrounds him even until this day. Whether it's a supernatural or psychological phenomenon is up to you to decide.